Thanks for tuning in to the Drive On podcast, where we are focused on giving hope and strength to the entire military community. Whether you're a veteran, active duty, guard, reserve, or a family member, this podcast will share inspirational stories and resources that are useful to you. I'm your host, Scott DeLuzio, and now let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Drive On podcast. Before we get started today, I wanted to give a shout out to some other incredible veterans who I've recently gotten linked up with. We refer to ourselves as the Coalition, and we're all in on this mission to help out improving the lives of other veterans. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to each of these individuals, and many of them have their own podcast. Other of them, they're doing work with the veterans in their communities. So I wanted to give a shout out, and I'll have information about them in the show notes as well, so you can go check them out, and information on the website, so you can go check all of them out. But first off is Ryan from Bet with a Mic podcast. He's a former guest, and whose shirt I'm wearing today. He helped put this group of individuals together. So big shout out to him. Jenna from the Millennial Veteran, BJ from BJ Comedy, Dave from Hard to Kill, and he's our token Canadian guy in the group, Travis from Oscar Mike Radio, Redden from Brave and Faithful podcast, another former guest, KP from the Morning Formation podcast, another former guest, Maria from Creative Healing podcast, and last but not least, Althea from She Vets It. I wanted to give a shout out again to all these people and encourage everyone to go listen to them, check out what they're doing. I'm going to put, again, the links to their podcast, websites, social media, whatever they have, on the website and in the show notes. So wherever you can find them, go check them out. And I really want everyone to give them a listen and a follow if you can. So with that, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming here. So today, my guest is a returning guest, Jennifer Boileau. Jennifer joined us in episode 154, titled Healing with Meditation and Yoga, where we discuss some of the techniques she teaches to help others relax, get better sleep, and conquer their anxiety. Today, she's back to talk about another technique that she uses, which we didn't really get a chance to talk about in the previous episode, and that technique is called iRest. So welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Well, thanks for having me back. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. I'm glad to have you here. So I think because you were on the episode not too long ago, we're going to skip the usual introduction, background, who you are and everything. We're just going to dive right into what we're talking about here. I want people to go back and listen to that other episode, because there's a lot of great content in that episode as well. And you can get to know Jennifer a little bit better by hearing her background and her introduction in that episode. So go give that episode a listen. And again, that will be linked in the show notes, so you can find it pretty easily. But definitely listen to that episode first, and then come back and check this one out. I think you'll really enjoy both of these episodes. So let's dive into it. Could you give us a background on what iRest is and who or how it can help people?
Yeah, absolutely. So iRest is short for integrative restoration. And it was something that was researched by Dr. Richard Miller at Walter Reed Medical Center. And I know I've shared before, I'm a civilian. I have not walked in your shoes, but I've certainly studied the heck out of all of this, all these great practices. So, and this is a practice that is just excellent for vets, first responders, active duty military. Really addresses the symptoms of PTSD, sleep disruption, anxiety, overall stress as a non-pharmaceutical method. So, I understand completely that sometimes medication is part of your health and wellness, and I'm not discounting that at all, but I do love that this is a non-pharmaceutical option that you can make part of your wellness plan for yourself. I work with some people privately that work for the federal government in these practices, and what they refer to this practice is as like the SOP I've always wanted, like the plan I needed all this time. It's just right here in the practice. So Richard is a a psychotherapist, and he was working at Walter Reed, started this research because everyone coming back from deployment, with all of these heavy symptoms of PTSD, it was like, how can we serve them better than just layering medication, 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 medication? So he took all of his training in yoga nidra, excuse me, which is an ancient practice of meditation, and really modernized it for our living situation now. So it's a 10-step protocol, very simple to learn and kind of get used to and implement into your life. And because of all of that research, the Defense Centers for Excellence have approved iRest as a complementary and alternative medicine. And also the US Army Surgeon General has named Yoga Nidra, from all of the research with iRest, as a tier 1 approach to pain management in the military. So it's definitely something that's been, taken on by, the Department of Defense is who funded that research. So it's, to me, that's a really amazing step in the right direction to support people in a different way, in a way that you have these tools all the time. Like, you don't have to go get a refill, right? You don't have to go to the gym for this. You don't have to go somewhere. It's helping you tune into your experiences by following this protocol. So,
yeah, and that's a positive thing, and an encouraging thing that the Department of Defense and the military is looking into this type of approach to dealing with pain and things like that, because so often you hear from veterans and service members that they are just getting prescription after prescription after prescription, and either it's not working, or the side effects that they're having that causes them to get other prescriptions to cover up those symptoms that are created by the side effects. And next thing you know, you're going in with a certain level of pain that you're trying to deal with, but then you end up with all these other medications, and it's almost like you might even forget about the original thing that you were going in for. Now you're just trying to manage these other symptoms. And that's not to discount the benefits of medications, because they definitely have their place and their purpose. But sometimes it seems like it's just the easy thing, just to prescribe. And when there's an approach like this that you can take with you, you don't, like you said, you don't need a refill. You don't need to do anything with that. It just seems like that's a much smarter solution, assuming that it works for the individual, right?
Absolutely. And it's like, instead of just covering up all the different layers of whatever you're dealing with, it takes you straight to the root of the experience. And I know that might seem a little like, ooh, I don't know if I want to get to the root. I don't know if I want to revisit that, right? But, knowing that, like you're saying, with sometimes that layering of medication. I mean, we know the suicide rates, right? We know these numbers that are just horrifying, and you just don't want to be layering anything else on that's going to take someone down a little further down that really dark rabbit hole, right? So if we can address some of the core issues by turning you from all of the busyness of the mind and taking you into the somatic felt senses in the body, like a whole different part of you just opens up. And it is a very experiential practice. If you've ever tried meditation before and you're like, I don't know about this, absolutely just know that this is a trauma-informed practice. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but I give you guidance following this protocol that I kind of weave together, right? And through that guidance, you're going to have your own experience. So I could give the same instruction to 1,000 people in a room, and every single person will have a completely different experience based on those instructions. So it's kind of like, giving you that SOP, right? It's giving you like the map, And from your experiences, from your interactions, whatever it is you're dealing with, it's going to kind of hit a little bit different for each person. And that's what I think is one of the keys of iRest, which is why it's so effective. I'm not going to tell you, imagine you're floating on a cloud. I mean, I'm terrified of heights, just terrified. That would be the worst thing you could ever say to me. That's not going to help regulate my nervous system, right? This practice is all about getting you out of your head, into the felt senses of the body, and just helping to give you that inner strength. Like, you know what? I can handle this because I've created enough space between myself and whatever this stressor is, whatever this anxiety or the pain or this limiting belief, whatever it might be. We create just enough space so that you're not fused with that anymore, right? You're not fused with that heaviness of the emotion. You find that space, and that creates a big shift.
Yeah. And I wanted to read a testimonial that you had on your website from one of your clients, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is from a Vietnam veteran who says that he's a Marine veteran, 2 tours in Vietnam as an infantry platoon sergeant. And like many of my Vietnam friends, and again, this is his words, not mine, I am distrustful of people I don't know well, uncomfortable in crowds or large groups, and feel like most shows of public support for my service are disingenuous at best. This is my version of PTSD. I've used Jen's meditation recording and find that it helps me to relax and sleep better. And I believe that Jen's recording helps me to maintain that feeling of peace and relaxation beyond the times that I'm actively listening to the recording. I recommend this to any veteran who might be periodically uncomfortable in their situation. It's an easy, non-invasive way to relax and just let go of feelings that may be holding them back. And this is from it says a distant iRest meditation client who happens to be a veteran. And I wanted to mention this because I think it describes many veterans pretty well, right? He's distrustful of people he doesn't know well. He's uncomfortable in crowds, difficulty sleeping or relaxing. So if this is something that can work for this one Vietnam vet, maybe it also can work for some of these listeners who is out there, right? If he can figure out a way to trust you and figure out how to use this practice to help him relax, get to sleep better, and beyond the times that he's actively listening to this, it seems like, hey, what do you have to lose to give this a try, right? And so I'm glad to have you on and talk about this practice and how it works. And I want to. One thing that he touched on in that review or that testimonial that I wanted to just ask you about is this something that should be done regularly, like on a regular scheduled basis, like, every morning or once a day, twice a day, or is this something that can be done as needed type of thing? Or could the answer be it depends on the individual? And I'm sure that could possibly be an answer as well. But I want to let you answer that and see if this is something that needs to be done fairly frequently or if it could just be done as needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the answer is, yes, all of the above, right? So one of the things that we focus on in iRest is little and often. So I don't want you to think that, okay, I got to go meditate, find a cave, I need an hour, no, that's not how it's going to be. You could really do this in 5-minute chunks, 10-minute chunks. You can go up to 35, 45 minutes in a session. It can be whatever feels right to you. So it can really contract or expand to fit the time that you feel is right for you. But to your point of how often, what's interesting about that is if you are practicing regularly, say 12 to 15 minutes at a time, maybe 3-4 days a week, the research shows that when you're practicing over time, your brain is getting the kind of brain rest it needs as if you were getting a full night's sleep. So for people, if you're on shift work, right? If you are deployed and you're, up all hours, weird hours, and just not getting regular sleep, your brain is really suffering because of that, right? So the brain's not real happy about that. You probably feel pretty crappy. And if you're not getting some decent sleep and some decent brain rest, it's going to show in a lot of different ways that maybe you're not gonna like the way it feels. You're not gonna like maybe your behavior, or might be a little quick or snappy or something with people. So know that with that practice, it changes your actual need for sleep to 1 to 4 hours, as opposed to needing 7 or 8 hours of sleep. So just those 15-minute practices throughout your week, right? As many days as you can, but 3-4 days, you have 15 minutes. I mean, that's what this all comes down to, right? Like, we have 15 minutes, right? It's just making the time. And if you're willing to do it, think about what a shift that could be for your brain receiving that kind of rest. I mean, we need that time to kind of let your brain get like scrubbed, kind of, right? Like let everything rejuvenate overnight, or whenever you are getting that kind of rest. So that's another aspect of iRest that is really amazing, that it's offering you the sleep that maybe you're not getting when you actually should be sleeping. And I will say that the guy you're talking about from his testimonial, I mean, it's such a powerful thing. Think about that. Since Vietnam, and where he lost his brother, think about that, like just not being able to sleep through the night all these years. I mean, it's been a long time, and this probably wasn't the first thing on his mind, like, let me check out some meditation. I mean, that's just usually not the first thing on someone's mind, right? But this protocol really is meant for you. It's meant for, for vets, for active duty. It's meant for people that are experiencing shift work, knowing that this kind of brain recovery is possible from just such a simple practice. Then you're just literally putting in your earbuds and giving a listen and just kind of going with my voice. And I always tell people, sometimes you might find that I just put you to sleep a little too quick or something, right? And that's okay. You might work up to being able to stay alert enough, be relaxed, but alert enough that you can get through the whole meditation. Now, if it's a sleep meditation, I'm trying to get you to sleep, so it's okay. There's really no wrong way to experience it too, which is nice. It's kind of, we're just welcoming and meeting whatever is coming up for you in that moment. So that's another nice part of it too. You don't have to feel like you have to try harder or strive towards something. It's really just giving you some time of absolute rest. So
yeah, it's actually kind of funny the way you put that. Like if it's a sleep meditation, like you're trying to put the person to sleep, right? And my wife and I we found it's actually a podcast, and I forget the name of it now. I'm going to look it up and put it in the show notes. But there's a podcast where there's stories that this host reads, that she writes them and writes these stories, and then she reads them, but they're all designed to get people to fall asleep. They're just boring, mundane stories that are not really all that exciting. There's no action going on in these stories. It's just really, but it helps people fall asleep. And we joke like, so what is your job? If you're at a dinner party or whatever, what is your job? Oh, I put people to sleep. And but it's exactly. It's funny, but it's also needed too, because there's so many people like this person that you're talking about who since Vietnam has probably been struggling to get that rest that he needs. And I know there's plenty of veterans who are coming out of these recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and places like that, where they're also having these troubles. And quite frankly, that's some of these people started 20 years ago when these wars started, and Vietnam obviously much longer, Desert Storm, things like that are much longer ago, and it's time to get some rest, right? It's time to
Exactly.
unwind and get some rest. So I feel like if you're struggling and you're having this trouble with rest, with pain, with any of the things that you mentioned that this can help with, anxiety, stuff like that, why not give it a try? See if it helps you. And like you said, the more you do it, the more it helps. And so it's one of those things where maybe you're going to want to try it a few dozen times just to get that benefit. But just give it a try. And you're right, we can all find 15 minutes out of our day. We can carve that time out. We can not watch
Exactly.
another show on Netflix or whatever. We can find that time. And if we want to improve, we kind of have to put the work in. So yeah, we definitely can find the time. So anyways,
Exactly.
I would love if you would be able to maybe give us an example of what people can expect from iRest, and maybe like a short session or meditation
Yeah.
that you could maybe offer us if you're able to do that. And depending on how this goes, I might even take this segment of this episode and put it as a standalone episode on the YouTube channel, so people can go back and check that out and just listen to that. And if that's helpful to them, then hopefully they can reach out to you. And I'll give you time after this to tell people where they can reach out to you, but they can reach out to you to get even more benefit and more practice through you. But if you wouldn't mind giving us an example of what people can expect from iRest, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So wherever you are right now, just let yourself get a little bit more comfortable in your seat. Even if you're walking, that's fine. But if you are seated or you're able to even lie down, feel free. And as you're getting yourself even 10% more comfortable than you are right now, just slowly let your senses begin to come alive. Maybe noticing the sounds down the hall, the sounds outside your window. Notice if there's any sounds that you're kind of choosing or maybe refusing, something you would rather not be hearing, like something being cut down outside, like I was hearing outside of my window earlier. Just notice that. Maybe some sounds from within. It might be digestion, maybe some creaking and cracking of the bones as you move around a little bit, just welcoming any sounds that are present. You could have your eyes open or closed, whatever feels right to you. And if the eyes are open, just noticing the light in the space you're in. If the eyes are closed, maybe noticing how the light kind of dances behind the eyelids, or maybe there's dark shapes you're seeing. There might be a residual taste in the mouth from something you had to eat or drink earlier. Notice the sensation of the body resting on the surface that's supporting you. Maybe even the touch of air against your skin, maybe across the face or the hands. And just noticing, does it feel warm or cool? Just helping the body move from this thinking mind into the felt senses in the body. If you're familiar with OODA loop, this is kind of like slowing down and stretching out that first phase, that observation, using all of your senses. Instead of doing that rapidly, in this iRest, we're just stretching that out, really tuning into all of these somatic felt senses in the body. You might notice how the body is just breathing itself. There's no striving here. You might notice a gentle rise and fall of the breath in the body. You might feel it higher up in the chest. You might feel it more in the belly or the intercostals and the side ribs, maybe even the back. Just noticing the breath here. And you might invite in an intention for this brief practice, something maybe that you really need right now. And something might come to mind. And if not, that's okay. Just let the question, what do I really need right now, be the intention. And sometimes in the stillness of practice, that intention, what you're really looking for, whether it's ease or patience or whatever it might be, it can just work its way to the surface through this stillness. And for a moment, I'll invite you to connect with something that we call your inner resource, this place within that has just never been touched by the stress of your everyday life. It's a place that is always at ease, where there is always a sense of this okayness, where everything is okay. And to do that, we use a memory. And it can be something in your memory, or it could be something that you imagine. So I wonder if you could connect with a time when you felt the most at ease, calm, or just a time when things felt okay. Notice if a memory comes up for you. And if it does, notice where you are, who you're with, maybe the sounds around you when you're in that place. Is there a taste that you associate with this place or a smell? And stay with that, noticing where you're feeling this sense of calm and ease in the body. And if a memory hasn't come up for you, that's okay. You might imagine a place or a person or being with a pet when you feel the most calm. Or maybe you connect with a time when you felt really grateful for something. And if you're seeing this in your mind's eye, notice the colors and the shapes and the texture of anything around you. What can you touch when you envision this place of ease? And letting that memory or that connection just really seep into the body. Let the image go, letting that thinking mind fall back once again. And can you stay with the feeling? That feeling that everything is okay. And if this proves difficult, that's okay. Just stay with the sensation of your breath and know that in time, with practice, the body will help you remember a little bit more of that felt sense of okayness. Notice if you could describe to yourself, what does this felt sense feel like? Is it a warmth or a kind of gentle embrace kind of feeling? And don't let my words limit you. Just kind of notice what it feels like for you. And letting this feeling continue to kind of ebb and flow in the body, just noticing where sensation is coming alive here. Notice if the sensation is moving throughout the body. And noticing it by feeling, not by thinking. The body continuing to breathe itself with no effort here. Maybe feeling that sensation of melting just a little bit more into your seat. Feeling this gentle relaxation wash over the body. And I might draw your attention to sensation now in the mouth. Noticing any sensation at all that's coming alive here. Sensation in the tongue, the teeth, the gums. Notice how, if you stay in a particular area, it's kind of like walking into a dark room. You give yourself a few moments to let your eyes adjust, and then suddenly you can see much clearer. As we move through sensation, notice if you stay, how more and more sensation can reveal itself to you. Maybe noticing the sensation of the eyes, the eyelids, the jaw. No tension here. Sensation on the top of the head, back of the neck. Sensation in the throat. And then maybe it drops into the chest area, front side of the chest alive with feeling, the shoulders. Again, that thinking mind falls back. Let the sensation move in the body by feeling. Notice if you bring your attention into the shoulders, can you gently let that sensation travel down through the biceps, the elbows, the forearms, top side of the hands, the palms of the hands now. And while I'm moving a little quickly through these areas, know that you can do this with yourself outside of this practice, where you just draw your attention to a particular area of the body and just stay. Keep your attention here. See how sensation will reveal itself to you if you just sit with it. Sensation through the back now. Dropping down into the hips. And then slowly your attention and awareness drops into the thighs, down through the knees, the lower legs alive with feeling. Sensation through the ankles, the top sides of the feet, the soles of the feet now. And sensation alive from the top of the head all the way down and out through the toes. The whole body alive with feeling here. Notice if you could describe it. Is there a texture to the sensation? This felt sense of aliveness. And the body just breathes itself. You might experience sensation now just on the right side of the body. And then shifting your attention to the left side of the body. Alive with feeling. Sensation across just the front of the body now. The back side of the body, back of the head all the way down through the heels. You might notice this aliveness on the outer edges of the skin, that space where you end and the air begins. And that border and boundary of the body might feel a little less clear. Notice if any thoughts have been coming into the mind's eye. If any thoughts have been interrupting. Allow yourself to just welcome any thoughts that are working their way into your awareness. And just maybe ask yourself, do I need to attend to this right now, or can I let this pass on through? It's kind of like you're the sky and everything else is just the weather, right? There might be something, an emotion that arises or a thought that intrudes and comes in that maybe you didn't want. Let the storm kind of come on through and then just work its way right out. And what's left is still the sky, right? What still is left, this awareness that you are more than that experience or that intrusive thought. You are someone experiencing that emotion, but you don't have to fuse with it. You want to create just enough space to disidentify with it, not disassociate, not refusing it, but just disidentifying that I'm experiencing this, but this is not me. I am the sky here. I am this place that knows that inner resource, right? That place where everything is okay. That's you all the time. It's just the coverings of stress and all the things, maybe not sleeping or those intrusive thoughts, it kind of covers it up. And in practice, we just peel back these layers, not to teach you something new, but to remind you of what's always present. This inner resource you have within. This place where everything is always okay. So you might let yourself feel that one more time, really inviting that inner resource felt sense back in, and knowing that you can change that memory every time you experience this. It's not the memory that's important, it's that felt sense in the body that we want to connect back with. So that if you are experiencing pain or intrusive thoughts or whatever might be coming up for you, that you know you can always fall back into this inner resource. Reconnect with your breath. Reconnect with sensation. And then return back to whatever is at hand. That it's always present. So you might see yourself in your mind's eye now going on about your day, knowing that you have these tools available to yourself, knowing you can drop into this inner resource absolutely anytime. It's always here. You might slowly begin to notice those sounds around you once again. Hearing someone in the next room or outside your window. Maybe just noticing the quiet in the space you're in. Feeling that surface beneath you that's been supporting you. If your eyes are closed, you might want to gently flutter your eyes open just to readjust to the light, or you can stay wherever you are. So thank you for joining me in that brief practice. We touched on some of the aspects of the protocol, and know that I do have ways to incorporate different aspects like sleep or stress or pain or overwhelm. We can weave in different aspects to move through, but always knowing that if you could reframe the intrusive thought, and instead of being kind of upset that maybe something keeps coming back or re-experiencing is happening again and again, knowing that you can reframe it and shift it to be a pointer. Let it be a messenger that says, hey, you need to go back and notice your breath right now, right? It kind of gives you some ownership. Instead of feeling like things are happening to you, let it be the reminder that you can go back inward and you can be safe with yourself. You can experience your inner resource, and that you do have that within, even though maybe you don't feel like it, maybe you don't feel okay all the time, knowing that that is just beneath all of the stuff. And if you can use that as a pointer, go back to your breath, go back to a somatic experience in the body. That's everything, right? So thank you.
Well, thank you. I think that was a good example of what iRest can do, and how it will help people over time as they start to use that practice and start to incorporate it into their life to kind of just get back in touch with what they're experiencing, right? So I'm gonna take this and use this in a standalone thing on the YouTube channel, so that way people can refer to it and see what this type of thing can do. But like you said, there's specific approaches to whether it's sleep or anxiety or whatever it is that people are experiencing, pain, things like that, that can be tailored to the individual and to what they're experiencing. Okay. And so I really want to encourage people to reach out to you so that they can get the benefits of that tailored, kind of individualized practice, right? But would you be able to tell some people, tell the listeners where they can go to get in touch with you, and how you work with people who may not be local to you, where they can come and see you in person, but if someone is on the other side of the country or something like that, how do you work with those types of people, and is that still something that you can still work with those people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with people more often than not over the phone. So we either do a Zoom session like this, or I have some clients where I just call them and we have sessions over the phone. So it's really a way that I can connect and find out what's going on with you. What are the biggest things that are weighing on you? What are you seeing that's coming up for you over and over? And how can we address that through the lens of iRest? So it's just like experiencing an audio practice, only I'm doing something that's just tailored to you. So I do have people I work with that are literally all over the world, and that's how we connect. So absolutely, that's something that's available. And I always have free consultations. That's no obligation for anyone to continue with anything. If you'd just like me to point you in a direction or share some free resources with you, I'm always happy to do that. Please never feel like you can't reach out to just ask me some questions. I'm always happy to help be a resource as well. On my website, there's ways to connect with me. It's jenniferboileau.com. And I tend to be more on Instagram than Facebook, but I am in both places. It's just Jen Boileau. You put in my name, you'll find me. We can set up a time to talk, see what might be useful to you. I do have a SoundCloud account that has some free meditations on there. And if there's something specific that I have marked as private because I did it, for a particular client or whatnot, but it's really applicable to you, we can connect and I can send you a direct link to experience that type of practice. So I'm always happy to be a resource in any way that I can. And if I can't support you in a way that you need to be supported, I'm part of a huge network of people who are all in, supporting our vets, military, and first responders. I'm happy to find a way to connect you with the right people.
Well, thank you again for coming on and sharing this practice with us. I'm sure it's going to help plenty of people, and especially when it's one of those things that could be done from the comfort of your home. That some people may not feel comfortable traveling out to go meet in person with certain people, and having the ability to do this. Technology is so great these days, where we can be on the other side of the country and still meet face to face in this way, or over the phone, or however it is that people want to utilize the services that you offer. And even like you mentioned, there's some free resources out there. So if people are, financially not able to go for that more personalized approach, they may still be able to get some of the benefits of this through some of those resources that you mentioned. So thank you again for coming on and sharing where people can get in touch with you and find out more about this. I will have links to your website and social media in the show notes, and the SoundCloud account as well, so people can check that out first and get in touch with you to really find the benefits that this practice offers, and all the other work that you do as well. We mentioned some of that other stuff in the previous episode that we did, and again, that episode will be linked in the show notes, so people can go back and listen to that one if they haven't already. Which by this point in the episode, I was hoping that they would. So if not, go back and listen to it anyways. But again, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again. And I hope it's helpful for your listeners and good stuff.
I'm sure that it will be. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Drive On Podcast. If you want to check out more episodes or learn more about the show, you can visit our website, driveonpodcast.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Drive On Podcast.